What's up, everybody?
Oh, did we just lose Brinson? Is that what just happened? We are on the Pick Six Podcast live halftime show to take a look at the Week 5 early odds. Will Brinson is usually your host, but his internet cut out and it hates him. So now you are stuck with just me, John Breech. And you know what? We're going to get right to this, and we're going to start talking about the Thursday night football game between what has been two of the worst offenses in football this year, the Indianapolis Colts and the Denver Broncos. This game is being played in Denver. And the weird thing about these two teams is that it's really the Broncos, how we've kind of heard all season, that their offense can't do anything, that it struggles. And although those two things may be true, they've actually scored more points than the Colts have this season. So the Broncos offense has been bad, but it's been better than Indianapolis's offense. And so that's one of those interesting things to keep in mind here. Brinson, welcome back. We went straight into talking about Broncos Colts.
I couldn't even get the intro out before Google kicked me out. Chrome and StreamYard threw me out on the street. Broncos and Colts, as you mentioned, Breech. It does sound like you're hyping up your Denver Broncos.
Yeah, well, all I was saying was that the Broncos offense has been made fun of all year, and that the Broncos have actually scored more points than the Colts through 4 weeks. So as bad as the Broncos offense has been, the Colts offense has been worse. And I think the Broncos have a better defense. I have a tough time seeing the Colts score in this game. And Brinson, this is the magical 2 time zone game that we have talked about in the past, that teams that fly 2 time zones west for a Thursday night football game are 2-13 straight up all time, and 2-12-1 against the spread all time. And both wins and covers were by the Green Bay Packers. So if you take the Packers out, no other team has ever covered or won in this situation.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think Denver's already up to -3, over under 43.5. I think if you get a low scoring game, I like the Broncos in the spot. I mean, yeah, they're coming off a bad loss to a division rival, or not a bad loss, just a tough loss to a desperate division rival. We thought the Raiders would be amped up for that one. I mean, Denver, hasn't been great, but the Colts have been really bad for stretches. And so I think you look at what the Colts, I mean, they're not that good. And I don't know if they're going to turn it around, but I mean, a very slow start for them. And certainly concerning about I don't know if the Matt Ryan experiment is like a bust or anything like that. Just that their one win is that shocker against the Chiefs, where they should be 0-1 and should be 0-3-1 or 0-3-1 right now, I think, which is such a weird record to describe. And they got blown out by the Jaguars, who do look like a good team. The Texans had them on the ropes. The Titans took care of business with them today, and they needed like a miracle to beat the Chiefs, and the Chiefs had to completely collapse. So, I don't think Denver's going to like just put them away. I'll take the 3, laying the 3 at home here on the short turnaround with that long travel that you mentioned, Breech. I guess I'm hosting again now. Giants at the Packers in jolly old London. Packers are -7.5 or 7.5 point favorite, over under 41. Is this game not at? Oh, it is at 9:30. Yes. Okay. The over under has gone up to 41.5, eked up a little bit. The Giants are 3-1. Green Bay looks like they are getting it rolling. Struggle with the Patriots, but I thought the Patriots played a really good game. The Packers offense, to me, at least Aaron Rodgers looked pretty good for the most part. Some of these receivers are starting to come into their own. That Romeo Doubs touchdown could have been, that ended up being dropped, should have been a score. Maybe that game doesn't seem quite as close. I have a feeling that most people will want to take Green Bay here. 7.5, I'm probably inclined to take the Giants on a neutral field. The Packers are technically hosting Aaron Rodgers' first trip over there, but I don't know that we have a ton of experience with the Giants in terms of them going over there. And Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley were banged up. So I would need to know about those injuries before I did take the 7.5. If both of those guys are out, like they were going to play Saquon at quarterback.
Yeah, they lined him up at Wildcat for a play because Tyrod Taylor and Daniel Jones were both injured. Brinson, I think I agree with you. Here's a fun fact about this game. This will be the first time since the International Series started in 2007 that London fans have gotten to see a game that matches up two teams that both have a winning record. That has never happened. They've been sending teams over to London for 15 years.
And they didn't bank on it happening for this game either, Breech. I don't think.
No, not at all. Not with the Giants. And, you mentioned one of the key things that I'm looking at here, and it is not just Aaron Rodgers' first trip, but this is the Packers' first trip to London. They don't have that experience of going 8 time zones away and playing a game that's this early on your body clock. And, this is an 8:30 a.m. Central Time start for the Packers, obviously 9:30 a.m. for the Giants. And so it's a huge adjustment. And then the other thing is, we saw how the Patriots kind of stayed in the game today. It was that they were able to run the ball. Obviously, they played good defense, and then they picked their spots when they were throwing. And the Giants kind of have an offense that's built the same way. If Saquon Barkley's playing, I think that's the big one. You already mentioned him. If he's playing, I think I really like the Giants to cover the 7.5 because the Giants can kind of just run with Saquon and then pick their spots with Daniel Jones or Tyrod Taylor to try and throw a few passes. But yeah, I think I would lean Giants here too.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley's run the ball really, really well. The Packers defense has looked pretty good. I mean, Bailey Zappi kind of got them on 2 big passing plays, and New England ran the ball well. So there's a chance that the Packers with that defensive line could really be a big problem for that Giants offensive line and Daniel Jones. That would be my one big concern. I think it'll probably hinge largely on injuries, but I would lean towards the Giants, and just because weird things happen in these games, it feels like a lot of times. So we had a direct push on in week 4, unfortunately. Dude. Buffalo Bills hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Mitchell Trubisky revenge game tour is off because Kenny Pickett took over for Mitchell Trubisky in week 3. This line opened at Buffalo minus 13 with a total of 47. The total hasn't moved, but the line is already up to 14. I'm pretty inclined to take the Bills here. And I wouldn't take it if it was more than 14. So, I think you probably need to jump on it now or find somewhere that's we got a better line. Anything under 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns is just a lot, but the Steelers, I just don't know that they can do a ton offensively, even with the addition of Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. Double-digit point spreads are always a little intimidating because it only takes it's easy to see a backdoor touchdown. The Bills could literally be winning by 20 points. Pittsburgh scores with 90 seconds left and boom, they cover. And so that is a little scary. I'm going to mention this set every week until it changes. Since drafting TJ Watt, the Steelers are 0-7 when he is out on the field. They have never won a game without him. He obviously won't be on the field. And so what we've seen since he's been out is that they have 0 pass rush. And so when you're going up against Josh Allen, who went into week 4 as the NFL's leading passer, and you can't put pressure on him, that just feels like he is going to have a huge game. And so this feels like a game where the Bills score 30, maybe 34 points. And at that point, do you think the Steelers offense can put up 20 points with Kenny Pickett or Mitchell Trubisky? And it feels like the answer is no. So yeah, I think I'm with you. This is a game I'd probably stay away from. I think I'm leaning Bills too.
Yeah, probably not gonna be like one of my best bets or anything like that, but I think the Bills are a pretty good look here, especially with that veteran defense, talent laden against a rookie quarterback in a very tough place to play. The New England Patriots hosting the Detroit Lions. The Pats were -1 against when this opened. The Lions already moved up to 2.5. The total has not actually budged. It's 47. I don't know that the total's going to go up a whole lot more. But I think we just have to keep taking the Lions overs until it misses. I mean, the Seahawks didn't punt, I don't believe, or maybe punted once in this game against the Lions. Geno Smith, they didn't punt. Geno Smith looked incredible. Rashad Penny looked incredible. The Lions can't stop anybody, and they should be getting Amon St. Brown and DeAndre Swift back for this one. So I would look at the over. I would also think I'd probably take the Patriots at anything under 3 points. So if you like the Pats, now is the time to take it. I would guess this gets above 3, even though the Lions have been at times the king of backdoor covers.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Lions over. They are the highest scoring team in the NFL through 4 weeks, assuming the Chiefs don't score about 60 points tonight, which they might. But I mean, they have just been lighting up the scoreboard. It doesn't matter if they're winning or losing, they are scoring points. But now they have to go against a Bill Belichick defense. We saw what happened to Jared Goff in Super Bowl 53. If they're, you feel a little uneasy expecting the Lions to score against this defense. So that part scares me with the over. But I do agree with you. I think the Patriots feel like the play because it's just tough seeing Detroit just roll over a Belichick defense. I just think that, they've been putting up 30 points. They put up 45 against the Seahawks. that we're not going to see that this week. I feel like they score maybe in the 20s, and that, the funny thing is, Brinson, we don't even know who the Patriots quarterback is going to be. It might be Belly Zappi. It might be Brian Hoyer. A very, very, very outside chance that it's going to be Mac Jones, but it doesn't matter because they're all the same person. The Patriots want to play defense, run the ball, and let their quarterback throw 5 good passes a game, and they can win like that. They almost beat the Packers, so yeah, I think I like the Patriots.
Is it Jared Goff? Is Jared Goff the one who has the bad, like the cold weather bad record, or I think it's somebody else?
Goff isn't great. Derek Carr.
It's Derek Carr is the guy. Yeah. Oh, sorry. So I wouldn't do that as like a way to not be the one who named Derek Carr, but I feel like Goff's. It's gonna be like in the 40s, like low 50s, high 40s, decent win. Like it's not gonna be indoor weather for the Lions there. So that's another benefit. And the Patriots look like a team that can control the ball in the ground game, which is why I would lean towards the Pats. All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, the shocking line move in Cowboys at Rams next. The Rams opened as a 7-point favorite. It's not really that shocking. But it's already down to 6. I mean, anytime an NFL line moves a full point over the span of like 2.5 hours between when we figure out what we see the lines that we're going to bet, the lines we're going to talk about, and then we actually talking about it, that gets my attention. Especially when you're talking about a move off of 7 down to 6 Breech. So I would assume that means that there was plenty of early sharp money coming in on the Cowboys.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what, Brinson? I fell for this in week 2 when the Bengals were 7-point favorites over the Cowboys. I think it might have fallen to 6.5. It didn't matter what it fell to because the Cowboys didn't just cover. They pulled off the gosh darn upset. And so that kind of feels like the same thing here. Look, with Dak Prescott out, the Cowboys have one recipe for winning. It is just crush everyone on defense and pray that Cooper Rush doesn't make any mistakes. And he hasn't. He just plays just good enough football to get them wins. He comes up with 3 or 4 clutch throws per game, and then they let the defense do the rest, and that's working for them. So if the Cowboys have won 3 straight for Cooper Rush, there is no way I'm betting against them at this point, especially if I'm getting 6 points. So I like the Cowboys here right now. Yeah,
and I don't think that this Cowboys defense is going to allow the Rams just to score enough where they pull away where the Cowboys couldn't come through the back door at 6. Certainly, the talent. The one concern I guess I would have is that can Jalen Ramsey lock up CeeDee Lamb? Like, will he follow him, or will he? Will they what will they do offensively to get CeeDee Lamb away from Jalen Ramsey, et cetera, et cetera? So that I think the Rams are the better team, but the Cowboys have a pretty good formula for winning right now, and they're 3-1, and probably despite losing Dak Prescott. But
you also have Michael Gallup back, so even if they do kind of minimize CeeDee Lamb,
that's a great point.
A little more weapons to work with for Cooper.
Another road trip for an NFC East team, this time to an NFC West team. The Eagles headed to Arizona to play the Cardinals. This line started at 4.5. Eagles -4.5 on the road with a total of 49.5. Total hasn't moved, but the Eagles are already up to -5.5. At what point would you be buying back on Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, who didn't look great for much of the game against Carolina?
Maybe if this gets to a touchdown, I would take Arizona, but I think at this point, look, I don't know what to think of the Cardinals, but here's what I've seen is that they didn't look great against the Panthers till the end, and the game was 10-10 for most of
the Panthers. The Panthers gave them like plenty of chances to run it up.
Right. Baker Mayfield had a couple ugly turnovers that led to Cardinals touchdowns. And you look at Arizona's 2 wins, they're against 2 teams that are currently 1-3. So it just doesn't feel like the Cardinals are a great team. But who does feel like a great team? The Eagles. Right now, they look like the best all-around team in the NFL, which obviously makes sense because they're the only undefeated team in the NFL. And so I love what the Eagles are doing. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They play good defense. They're just good at everything. And you rarely see a team that is so awesome at everything. So I do think you said the Eagles are 5.5 right now.
5.5. I think I'm taking the Eagles right now.
Okay, yeah, I'm taking the Eagles at 5.5.
Yeah, I mean, the first these Eagles are 4-0 for the first time since 2004 when they went to the Super Bowl. They are just taking care of them. I mean, they got in a hole against the Jaguars, and they've shown different ways to win. I think they scored their first fourth quarter points on Sunday, which is wild. That's we've talked about maybe some concern.
Getting all their points in the second quarter.
Yeah, but they're like the high scoring second quarter team in NFL history or something like that. And look, I mean, they can get a lead on a team. And I think the Cardinals are the type of team where, yes, Kyler can run around and make plays, but if you can make them sort of one-dimensional, like if you can force them to be completely one-dimensional and have to pass a ton, you can spy Kyler. You can get guys, just kind of pinning your ear back and getting after him, and it can lead to some bad turnovers. Next up, the Bengals at the Ravens. And my Ravens, so Brinson versus Breech Bowl. My Ravens could easily be undefeated, I think. 2 bad losses, giving up tons of points to AFC East teams. And they are -3.5 against the Bengals at home with an over-under of 47.5. Let me double check that has not. Has not moved. Actually, neither of those, the total nor the spread, have moved. This is the Sunday night game, a great Sunday night game matchup between these AFC North rivals.
Juicy.
Yeah.
You know what, Brinson? We know which way I'm going. I will go ahead and explain myself. You know which way that I'm going to go. Look,
by the way, the Bengals plus 3.5 is -120, so it looks like it's probably going to get to 3.
Little juiced already. The Bengals swept the series last season. The big reason for that was because they know how to slow down Lamar Jackson. Other teams, Lamar's kind of a shock to their system because they don't see him all that often. The Bengals see him twice a year. And then, of course, Joe Burrow went off in both games against the Ravens last season, threw for 525 yards in one game, threw for over 400 yards in the other game. And the only reason I bring up last season, because a lot of times you don't necessarily want to do that, is that the Ravens haven't really done anything to prove that they've improved their defense to the point that they can slow down Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense. So I think that Burrow is going to go off again, put up huge numbers again. And I think the Bengals actually win this game. So if you're gonna give me 3.5 points, I'll take it.
Worth noting that in one of those games last year, Josh Johnson started, and in the other one, Lamar got hurt. Or do you have to leave for the poop incident? Which one?
I mean, I think they lost by like 3 touchdowns in both games, so I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, I was saying Lamar didn't play in the second game.
Right.
I mean, it's not like they shut down Lamar. Yeah, I mean, look, Burrow lit him up. It was 41-17 in the first matchup, and 41-21 in the second matchup. So, yeah, they blew him out.
So the one without Lamar was actually a closer game.
Well, Lamar got hurt in the first one.
Yeah, he doesn't play defense. He didn't give up 525 yards.
No, he doesn't. And there should be a shootout. I like the over in this spot, too. I think the Ravens can move the ball against the Bengals pretty. The Ravens have shown that on offense, they are extremely explosive. It's just about that defense and the problems that it's having. There's also a little kerfluffle between Marcus Peters and Jim Harbaugh. Curious to see how that sort of plays out.
You never want to have a kerfuffle between the head coach and one of your defensive players.
Especially not when said defensive player has previously been thrown out of college for threatening violence or actually having some violence on the head coach of his team or his defensive coordinator, Jimmy Lake. Anywho, do you remember when that happened? I actually asked Marcus Peters about that on the podcast.
I do not.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, so Jimmy Lake's now the Washington coach. What do you think? He said, I'm not talking about that. I was like, oh. I Googled it. I was like, oh.
That's a classic Brinson move.
Yeah, I know, right? Let me see what he did real quick. I'll name Jim. Oh, Washington denies report that Marcus Peters choked an assistant. All right, Monday Night Football. Bengals Ravens is Sunday Night Football, right?
You have the schedule in front of you, Brinson. I don't know. I just go along with you. You're the host. Yes, Ravens Bengals, I think, is Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, and then Chiefs and Raiders is Monday Night Football, I believe. Sorry, I was looking at the spreads. I don't have it up yet. Chiefs and Raiders at Chiefs. Yes, that's right. Raiders won. Chiefs are in a good spot when we record this at halftime. Obviously, that could change. That line at last check, Chiefs -7, over under 50.5.
Yeah, here's what I feel about this game is that if there's one team that like Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have just owned together, it is the Raiders. They've won 7 of their past 8, and it's not even they've won 7 of 8. It's that they have averaged like 38.2 points per game in those 7 wins. They've won 6 of those 7 times by 7 or more points. It's just that they've utterly dominated them. And that Andy Reid always seems to be one step ahead of anything the Raiders do. And if it turns into a shootout, who do I want? Patrick Mahomes or Derek Carr? The Raiders haven't looked bad this season, so 7 does feel like a lot. I don't think I would go any higher, but I think I lean the Chiefs here.
Yeah, I think Chiefs are probably a really good teaser leg here. And that total at 50.5 is a lot to take the over on, but it wouldn't be surprising at all if these teams got into a shootout. The one thing, if the Chiefs get a big lead, they're pretty good about milking clock in the second half. So you maybe need to like come back if there's a, maybe come back on a live under or something like that. If you do take the over, I would guess that number could drop between now and Monday night. Although depends on like what Travis Kelce's a little banged up, and it's like primetime games. They don't like to move the totals down too much. I can't look that far ahead to tell you what kind of weather it's going to be, but it looks like it should be pretty nice over the weekend in Kansas City. So maybe that won't matter. I lean towards the Chiefs as well. That one time that the Raiders got them was the John Gruden game where they rode the bus around Arrowhead like 3 times, honking, and then Andy Reid's like, "All right, that's cool. We're gonna."
The Chiefs have gotten like triple revenge. They literally remember that game every time these two teams play.
Exactly. Like they might not take it easy on Josh McDaniels because of that. So yeah, I would lean towards the Chiefs as well. I don't think that'll go up flying up past 7 just because there's a lot of points in the division game, especially even if the Raiders coming off that big Week 4 win. All right, that'll do it from us. We're breaking down the early odds, looking at Week 5's early lines. For John Breech, I'm Will Brinson. We will see you guys later.